late night if you're in the United States, but maybe early morning if you over in Australia or something like that. So I know I got followers from all over the world. It's a blessing to have that. So glad to always have you all tune into the show. And so we're going to get into some trades that I actually blew recently because I wasn't patient enough. And so I think it's important to be transparent with that. Uh, but ultimately, I did profit, which that's something that I'm having to work through in my mind because, yeah, sometimes you just don't profit as much. You sell too early. But I think that at the end of the day, I made some money. That's all we can hope for at the end of the day. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk through some of that, and then I'm also gonna talk through some of the news around cryptocurrencies and stable coins, Bitcoin, things of that nature, being combining forces with gold. There's a lot of news on that, and I think it's important for us to take a look to see if there's any other investment opportunities there. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, so what we're going to look at first is some of the trades that I wish I would have held on to because they are just absolutely running. Okay, all right. So first on the list here is let me go ahead and share screen. Trading view. First on the list is Oklo. Okay, so this stock is currently at about $75. I got into the stock around, it was over here, it was in 2024. Um, it was under $20. It was about, I think, $8 or such. I sold on some of the pops. Obviously, if you're gaining 100%, you may want to take some profits. But lo and behold, this stock is currently up 655%. As we know, there was news that came out. President Trump signed an executive order on nuclear energy and such. There was a lot of news about uh, Microsoft and all of these other companies, OpenAI and such, partnering with some of these nuclear energy companies to power data centers and things of that nature. And yeah, I was in the stock at between 10 and $20. Sold it on the pop. Obviously, it ran up to um, about $40, close to $40. And then, well, actually, the high here is about $60. Then it came cratering down, and the low here was $17. And this was after the Liberation Day. Currently, I did buy around this time. So around $20, I did re-enter, and I sold again at about close to $30. Right now, sitting at $75. So that was a trade that, hey, I missed out on some upside. This stuff happens. You miss out on upside with some of these trades, and that was one of them. So let's go ahead and go over to another one because these nuclear stocks are just straight running. Okay. Um, let's go to NLR, which is nuclear ETF. I got the plug on this one earlier this year. It was around, I think it was around $70 or whatnot. And I had got the plug from Nomi Prince in her newsletter, and she pretty much put it out like, hey, this may be an opportunity here or whatnot. Obviously, the stock fell, to here was about $64 after the Liberation Day, as you can see, Tuesday, April 1st. It's currently doubled since then, and it's at about $120 right now. So this was another stock that I didn't take advantage of. Sometimes you just wish you had more money to throw into all these different opportunities, especially when you get a big sell-off like that. you wish you had more money to throw into the market. This one was one that I didn't really get the chance to take advantage of, but yeah, I definitely saw it, didn't make a move, and didn't benefit from that upside. So another one, let's go ahead and look at some more. I'm still positioning uranium, so we'll go through that here in a little bit. But I just want to show you all the opportunities that I could have made a lot more money on. Nanonuclear, I learned about them late last year. It was at about $9. It was around August of last year, somewhere around here. A friend of mine actually told me about it when they were doing private placements. So he got in at about $1 a share, and this thing just ran up to a high of $48 and came back down significantly. I mean, Liberation Day came down to about $17. Now it's currently sitting at about $41.85. So easy ways to double your money. Nuclear sector is hot. These stocks are running. And this is probably I'm about to show you the biggest trade that I missed out on. Okay, so we're going to go here to Centrus. Okay, Centrus is up crazy. This stock is just bananas right now. Okay, so I got the plug on this a while ago. I've been kind of investing in Centrus on and off. I never really knew what they did, but I knew they did low enriched uranium. Unemployed value DGen Steve, he's been on my channel multiple times. He did a write up on Centrus last year. And then so I've rode Centrus from $20 to $70, sold it, got out, things of that nature. And it's been up and down, right? So recently, Centrus hit $55. Okay. At $55, Centrus I think it was on Liberation Day. Yeah. So it had a low of $49. I loaded up on shares. Huge move up. This candle right here, it just moved up very quick. Moved up to $100. Hey, I doubled my money. I'm getting out of this. And I mean, the thesis was that Centrus was likely to get some government contracts and such. So I encourage you all to subscribe to Unemployed Value DGen. He wrote about this and explained why they're in position to get government contracts. Before you know it, they did close on a government contract, and it just kept shooting up. I mean, the high was $250. Now it's at about $241. So these are some trades that I didn't take the full advantage of. These are some of the uranium nuclear energy trades that I didn't take the full advantage of. So you miss some money, right? It happens in the markets, and at the end of the day, you can't be too greedy because then you may lose it all, so this could have easily went the opposite direction and whatnot. And so you have to be aware of that. Okay. So I'm going to just talk through a couple of positions that I am still in. This is not financial advice, but Uranium Royalty. I'm actually going to upload a interview with Scott Melby tomorrow from the Rural Symposium. But Uranium Royalty, I've been in and out for a while. So obviously they had a big run up, came down. They've been the price has been suppressed for a while. But here at the low, Uranium Royalty was going for $1.43. That was the cheapest I've seen this particular stock. And I love the royalty and streaming model because they just have way less risk than the miners. They're pretty much financing the miners, and the miners have to take the risk of environmental issues that may happen. The cost of mining, such as drilling and oil and gas and things of that nature, the costs that come with that, and even the geopolitical risk, and so the royalty companies don't necessarily have that risk because they finance the mine and then they get a royalty on the revenue. So anyways, $1.43. This was the cheapest I've seen it. I loaded up. It's up. over 100% since then. And so that was a trade that I benefited from. So in explaining this a little further, what I'm seeing is that many of the larger cap, like Cameco, for example, I was positioned in Cameco. Cameco sitting at what, 80 bucks right now. I was buying Cameco at 35 last year during the Japanese uh, Japanese carry trade. Stock sold off significantly. I was buying Cameco all the way down to about $35. It's currently sitting at $80. I sold out of this position, but I say this to communicate that a lot of the money is going into the bigger market caps, and it's always communicated amongst the experts in this field that the big money goes toward the bigger caps first, then it starts to trickle down into the smaller caps. So when we see companies like Denison Mines, or Uranium Royalty, even though they're up, right, the money hasn't significantly started flowing into these companies like they have in the larger caps. So I am up 100% on Denison since buying at the low of $1.08, around there. So I am up 100% on that. But those are just some trades that I kind of missed out on, and some trades that I'm still in, and I think they're going to go a lot higher. And so just wanted to show that to you all in full transparency. Let me know in the chat if you're in some trades, if you sold out too early. What are some stocks you wish you would held on to, and are you still holding on to some stocks? And so I love to hear that from you all. All right, so I'm going to get into the news for today. Okay, so the news for today is um, going to be on Bitcoin, crypto, stable coins, and gold. Okay, so there was a lot of back and forth, gold versus Bitcoin, gold versus crypto, things of that nature. I think now there's a lot of combining of forces where people see the need for both, where they're saying, okay, the US dollar is the enemy. The US dollar is losing so much value. We need to park our money into some hard assets. And so you're seeing a lot of collaboration across there. Okay, so I'm going to show you, uh, I'm going to give you two companies that I learned about. Whether you choose to invest in them or not, that's on you. This is not financial advice, like I said, but I'm invested in them. Just full disclosure of me and what I'm doing. Okay, so all right. So first is Tether, the one of the largest. I think it's the largest stable coin on the crypto market. Is now buying gold. They have been buying tons of gold for the last I don't know however many months. Right now, this is what they say on their site. So it says, from ancient civilizations, humans have used gold as money and a store of value. Since then, and especially in times when the overall macro market has been in distress, gold has been used as a hedge. So here, the market cap is currently 824 million. These are the amount of gold bars, the gold kilos they have. And they're pretty much promoting gold as an excellent store of value. They're talking about the history, the hedge against inflation, things of that nature. Okay, so there was multiple articles that have come out in the last few months. So for example, on this site here, the Blockchain Reporter, it talks about Tether Gold, XAUT, maintains its presence as one of the top gold denominated digital assets, providing exposure to real gold through a blockchain. And so by Q2 2025, Tether Gold special tokens would have been issued. So this was 200 and close to 250,000 tokens would have been issued, with one fine troy ounce of physical gold backing each token. Okay. The last certification by the TG Commodities indicates that more than 7.66 tons, this is 246,000 ounces of gold, is held safely in Switzerland, sufficient as per London good delivery specifications. Gold tokenization has become a topic of discussion in the face of macroeconomic changes worldwide as institutional and retail investment increases. Tether Gold is benefiting from a broader shift to digital assets that are commodity backed. Central banks purchased more than 1,040 metric tons of gold in 2024, and this has continued in 2025, affirmed the importance of gold as a strategic reserve. Okay, so I'm going to share a little bit more about this. So when we think about Tether, okay, Tether is a stable coin, and typically um, how they are backed are by U.S. Treasuries, and so U.S. Treasuries are backing the stable coin. Now, when we think about treasuries, we think about bonds, we think about the dollar, right? The dollar has been going down in value. Inflation has been killing the dollar. The dollar's not as worth as much as it used to be. So for Tether to hold this a significant, I think they hold tens of billions of dollars. I think it's 80, maybe 90 billion um, in U.S. bonds and treasuries that are backing their stable coin. That is just going to lose value. And so Tether has, shifted a little bit to gold. And so this is a really interesting dynamic that's playing out here, and it's significant, especially for this being the largest stable coin issuer holder in that's out there, right? And so XAUT is 100% backed by gold in a 1-to-1 ratio that provides transparency and investor assurance, with the price of gold trading at 3,300 per ounce as of the end of June 2025. The market cap of Tether Gold is pegged at 814 million. The sale of the 186,000 tokens, 186 million tokens in circulation is supported by 617 million worth of gold. Okay, there's an extra 59 million tokens available with physical reserves of 197 million. The integration of Tether Gold is in line with the rising demand for safe and compliant digital assets as an alternative to conventional investment instruments. Um, the gold reserves are independently audited, and the digital asset issuance law of El Salvador governs the full reserve of the token. Okay, so as we can see, they're not playing games; they're in it. Okay, um, so when we look at like some of the purchases that they've made, as we can see, Tether Gold rides bullion boom as central banks ETFs rush to accumulate. Okay, so many of these ETFs, um, some of these hedge funds and stuff, like they're not trying to buy physical gold. They're not trying to hold physical gold. You have storage fees and all of that. This gives them an easier way to uh, buy Tether Gold, and Tether custodies the gold themselves. And so that's an important factor to look at. Okay. So as we can see, it's pretty much saying some of the similar things from the other article, but we see Tether is in the market buying gold, and they're issuing tokens that are backed 1-to-1 to gold. So this is something that I didn't even know was happening, but I learned about it at the symposium, and I think it was something that was worth noting. All right, so now when we think about opportunities, okay, um, we're going to look at a couple of companies that I am actually invested in that have ties to the crypto market as well as gold. So we're going to look at a couple of these companies. All right, so here we go. First, let's see and pull the screen up. First, we're going to look at Elemental Altus Royalties. So this is a gold royalty company where they buy royalties, which is a percentage of the revenue that gold mines produce. Okay, so they're on the TSX, which is the Toronto Stock Exchange, and they're also on the OTC market. This is not financial advice. I'm just letting you know about the company. Okay, so they have their royalties, and Elemental Altus has a big shareholder, which that shareholder is Tether. Okay, so when we look at the shareholder register, okay, 38%, which is actually going to go up to 51% based on the presentation they gave at the symposium. Tether is going to be 51% shareholder of Elemental Altus. So that's something that's worth noting. Now you have a smaller royalty company that is Tether is a huge shareholder of, and it's going to be a majority shareholder at some point. And there were some concerns raised about it and such, about, Tether having so much power if they get to 51% and such, and over the decisions of what the company does and things like that. Yeah, there's definitely some politics involved, but it's important to know that Tether is in the gold market, okay, and they are active. All right. Now, we're going to look at one more company that I learned about, and I think this will be worth having a chat about. And this one is BioSig, okay, which is interesting company before, but they completed a merger with StreamX. So when I was at the symposium, I was able to meet Henry McPhee, who is the CEO of StreamX, and now BioSig, and they completed a merger. And so what they are doing, they're looking to lead U.S. real-world assets tokenization as stock surges 24% on 73% earnings outlook. Okay, so BioSig merges with StreamX to lead U.S. real-world asset tokenization. So that means they are tokenizing gold. So gold being tokenized, whether it be in NFTs, things on the blockchain, things of that nature. It says focusing on gold and commodities markets. The combined entry integrates blockchain solutions for physical asset tokenization, expanding access for 500 million plus investors. Acquisition of a SEC FINRA registered broker dealer ensures compliance for tokenized asset trading under federal securities laws. BioSig stock surged 24% post-merger, with analysts projecting 73% earnings growth as the company shifts to blockchain-centric operations. StreamX's gold-backed balance sheet strategy aligns with 142, I don't know if 142 trillion global commodities market, on-chain transition, creating reoccurring revenue through vaulted bullion. So StreamX, this is another company that I learned about at the symposium, and this is a company that I am investing in. So I think that the combination of backing gold on the blockchain, backing gold, putting gold on the blockchain, and using these new technologies for gold is going to be transformative. And so this is another company that I started investing in. So crypto and gold are combining forces in a lot of ways. Wanted to show you all that. So I hope that you all are paying attention and whatnot and seeing the opportunities that are out there. Okay, so that's all I got for today. You all, I know it's late. Some of you all are going to see this in the morning, but wanted to plug you in, where I'm parking some of my capital and everything. And so I wanted to share that with you all. So be sure to hit the like button. Subscribe if you aren't subscribed. comment on it below so that the numbers boost up on this and it gets in the algorithms and such. And so I think that it's important for us average folks to have this information so that we can prosper. So appreciate you all for watching. I'm going to call it a night. It's late night, hard to keep my thoughts together and everything. And so I'm going to call it a night, you all. All right, you all take care and